So now I've no longer got the need to be like endlessly haranguing people as to say, you need to know something about what's going on, and being perpetually ignored. Because the reason why evil thrives is because people would not believe it true. That's why they get away with great big terrible things like the systematic sexual grooming of children in schools. It's a funny old thing, that. I can track 3 schools in Rochdale. 3 schools in Rochdale. And name them by name. I don't have the name of the teachers who are teaching genderqueer ideology, but I can track people I know who've ended up with some absolutely terrible, profound mental illnesses. Some who have and haven't turned out gay because of them, because it doesn't work on everyone. But I tell you what, it doesn't half unleash that revolutionary spirit that they were trying to tap into. It's like James gets talking about that, and these academics are talking about releasing the revolutionary spirit that we can control. And it's like, this is black magic. This is sorcery. That's what this is. We're in Aleister Crowley territory, aren't we? But on a much, much larger scale. So I've been for years trying to put that to people as to say, look, they're trying to tap into this revolutionary spirit, and all you got to do is destroy someone, make them a victim, make them feel entitled, stop them from thinking, do emotional damage to them so they've got a PTSD problem, and then once you've got that suggestible, confused child, that you're then able to program them as to say, mess up what's going on inside, sexualize a young child, they don't understand what's going on, and then say to them, don't kill yourself, don't kill yourself, don't kill yourself. Technique I call reverse psychology, which is to understand it's all about suggestion. If any of you guys are out there ever given up smoking, I know I have, and you're doing pretty well, you've not had a cigarette in 2 weeks, and someone comes along and says, are you still off the fags? And you're like, thanks for that. Thanks for reminding me. And they're trying to give you encouragement and support to stay off them. But what they're doing is they're suggesting it. And they suggest it, and it pops in your head, and you're like, you motherfucker. I was doing pretty okay until you mentioned it. That's what I call reverse psychology. And that's the trick. Do not take drugs is a suggestion. Take drugs. So now that that's out in the open, and James has done a very good job of saying, like, look, these kids are being got to really early, and then they're having like suicidal ideation programmed into them. So this trans movement can say, trans people are killing themselves. And hiding behind this imaginary or figurative suicidal trans person who's been abused, manipulated, hide behind them as to where when anyone speaks out against them, they can say, you're killing us. You're killing us. And then the truth of it be that if the notion of the trans was to be normalised and they were to gain a social acceptance, those who've set this in motion will be like, no, we don't want things to get better for them. We need these people to remain revolutionary forever. We have to create the illusion that they are being oppressed in order to keep and tap into this revolutionary spirit so we can have our utopia. And those doing it, using them people as tools, they don't care about those kids. They hate gay and bi and lesbian and trans people. They think they're degenerates. They use them as tools. They know how to exploit them. And then the funny old thing is, Marxist global planners are not particularly intelligent, as where Marx has been proven wrong on many occasions, so have all his acolytes, because they're trying to change nature, a nature that they do not understand. They do not understand themselves to start with, so how are they to understand humanity and how to better it, make it. No. They're in it to create revolutionaries to do the dirty work so they can eventually just step up into power, and it's been going on for 100 years. It's just that the children as a weapon is them expanding to another project. They've totally failed to get the working class to rise up, because the working class are cutting off the nose to spite the faces, going out on strike and sabotaging their own workplaces for socialism. So they've had to abandon the working class. They don't need the working class anymore. The working class are stable. So as long as the working class are stable, they can't revolutionise them. As to where I see myself, I understand my place in this, as to where I've been targeted as being, he's a smart lad. In fact, this guy's really talented, skillful. Let's destroy his life and turn him into a revolutionary. He could be a really good one. The unemployed have been used as a weapon. Unemployed used as a weapon. Deployed as a weapon in the same way as black people used as a weapon. Gay people used as a weapon. It's like, as long as we can keep brutalising them, as long as we can make them all feel like they're left out, isolated, we can tap into their revolutionary spirit. And it's like, this is black magic, this is sorcery. I'm surprised more people don't understand it as that. As to where, I've made attempts to have a conversation with Styx Hexenhammer, who claims to be like a high up, educated member of this sort of a cult faction, and he doesn't know the first thing about this stuff because he doesn't understand the practical uses of this magic with a K. He never took the trouble to find out. He's not part of that side of it, and he's not associated with people who are part of that side of it, so he's never learned about it. So to him, it's all entertainment and stories and imaginations and visions and understandings and things occurring to him. So he just doesn't get it. Like, seriously, it's like, if you're going to get away with, you will in this life, in this world, get away with evil acts beyond description, beyond recognition of any kind of decent human behaviour, because people would not believe it true. So therefore, evil thrives. To a stage now as to where evil has control of the courts, evil has control of politics, evil has control of the law. They were at Tommy Sotomayor over the weekend, where he opens opens the phones to the trans people, and they all, like one great big hive mind, descend upon him, popping up like a wolf pack in World War II. Torpedoes flying everywhere. And somehow he's guilty of violent speech, because what he's saying is going to kill suicidal trans people out in the world. Don't kill yourself, don't kill yourself, don't kill yourself. Things will get better. It's like, when do we start to recognise that this is like black magic, and that now magic words are now in the world, and that magic words have an effect? And then it's like, you get to grips with the notion that now magic words now work, because there are those in the world who can't tell the difference between the real and the imagined, can't tell the difference in their own imagination between what they've been told verbally and what they've read, as to where like language barriers have been broken down by instant messaging. When people get to understand or get to realise that magic words now have a place in the world, because people have become so crazy, so superstitious, and again, can't tell the difference between what's real and imagined and what they've been told and what they've read. Once we get to grips with that, we can use magic words on these people to do them harm, because that's what they're telling us we're doing. That's the feedback we're getting from them. Once more people come to realise that that's what's going on, the sooner we get it done with, and it be quick when it happens. And my notion is you exploit the fact that those who you oppose do not have a sense of humour, but are funny. They're like Trailer Park Boys. There is like not a single character in Trailer Park Boys who has a sense of humour amongst themselves, but they are hilarious to watch. And to be in real life associated with those kind of people would be like hell on earth. But us, the visitor, us the fly on the wall, because that's a documentary, isn't it? It's like a fly on the wall documentary, Trailer Park Boys. Like there's a camera crew following them around. Like that would be horrific. Those people would be a nightmare who'd destroy your life. But us from the outside can laugh at just how stupid they are, and it'd be funny even though every character in it is lacking any kind of sense of humour. It'd be a thing. But the thing I'd like to point to in this video is where, you know, you get a spate of looting over in the States. Well, that technique of looting that they're using, or thieving, mass shoplifting, I first learned about that 30 years ago in Middleton Precinct, having spoken to a woman who managed a cigarette little booth, a little cigarette shop called Super Cigs. And she talks about what the gangs used to do. And she says, one will turn up, tie up the member of staff who's on duty, because this place, they've come to realise that there's not enough people working here to defend the place. And since this has started happening, the police don't want to get beaten up off these gangs, don't want the extra work. So the police have abandoned the place. Since this started, the police's reaction to this mass looting has been to run away and pretend it's not happening. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, yes. They can't handle this. There isn't enough cops in all of Greater Manchester to deal with it. So they just pretend it's not happening. And I'm like, what? Like, yep. So one person goes in, gets to talking to whoever's on duty, distracts them just for a moment, and then 25 people walk into that DIY shop and all walk out with a gallon of paint. And there's nothing anyone can do about it. And if you get in the way, you're going to get battered. Like, what, this goes on? I'm like, oh yes. Organised shoplifting. Gangs target little shopping precincts and do that. And what you find is eventually that little shopping precinct disappears when the big stores that operate there can no longer operate there. When that place becomes a problem, they're gone. So that's why you've got so many shops in so many places that are all boarded up. And when that kind of activity is detected and people know about it, and the people at on the ground level know about it, the police might be pretending it's not happening, but those who know. That's why you get it as to where these great big firms who might invest in places like this, they don't want to come here because they know the reality of it. They know that there are those here who will just help themselves to anything that's not theirs because they feel entitled to do so. So I'm seeing this happening in the States and I'm like, right, okay. Right, I'll let you in on something. Poor people generally run by a different code because they don't really understand the notion of property rights because they've been stolen from and they feel entitled. They've been stolen from, so they're the kind of people who think that we need also a communist socialist revolution. They're the kind of people who demand a redistribution of wealth. Those people who demand a redistribution of other people's stuff, they usually don't have a problem with just taking other people's stuff. And then there'd be a culture of it as to where if you've stolen, as long as you haven't stolen from an individual and you've stolen from a corporation or the council, it's fair game. So I'm going to I was going to play you this record, but it's like, I better not. I might as well just go through the lyrics of it. But this is a funny record by a band called the Lancashire Hot Pots, who are like lads from St Helens. So they're from like my region. And this is a song that they wrote, which perfectly encapsulates the attitudes of certainly the people I've grown up with and know, as to when is it okay to steal? When is it okay to steal someone else's property? And this is what it's about. So I shall read it out for you, and I might even sing bits of it because it is a good one. See, this is what you're not getting about these people who are doing this mass looting in California at the moment, is that this song, or the sentiments of this song, to them would ring absolutely true. And it goes something like this. This one's going out to anyone who's in a job they don't like, ladies and gentlemen, and that's all of us. Who's he speaking of? Those who would likely be his audience, the kind of person who would turn up for a gig for the Lancashire Hot Pots, the places where this guy's been raised, the places where this guy lives. Labour dominated, lefty dominated, entitled, hard done by St Helens. It goes something like this. If you're lucky enough these days to be employed, there's lots of ways the company gets you annoyed. They change your hours and your shifts and you get so downhearted. You've not had a pay rise since you started. If you don't like it, the firm will give you the sack. Did you know there's a way to get your own back? Your dignity's been robbed and nobody cares. So what you've got to do is steal something of theirs. It's called the perks of the job. I'm at work and I'm on the rob. I'm going to take whatever I can fit in my pocket to make me feel better, and they just can't stop it. I'll be stuck in this job till I reach my old age. Wouldn't do it if they paid me a decent wage. Until they do, I'm going to go to town and help myself to anything that's not nailed down. Revenge against the company, it tastes delicious. But don't take too much too soon or they're going to get suspicious. Stuff that people won't miss, or it'll be tears. I've not bought paper for my printer for about 3 years. Don't be cocky and put a laptop up your sleeve. Just a little bit of something every time you leave. An envelope a day that'll never be missed. There's more stationery in our house than W.H. Smith's. It's called the perks of the job. I'm at work and I'm on the rob. I'm going to take whatever I can fit in my pocket to make me feel better, and they just can't stop it. I'll be stuck in this job till I reach my old age. Wouldn't do it if they paid me a decent wage. Till they do, I'm gonna go to town and help myself to anything that's not nailed down. If the thought of stealing sends you out of your mind, there's other ways of getting your benefits in kind. Use the works phone to call your mate in Timbuktu, or an hour on your Facebook page will do. And here's a top tip from my workmate Shirley, an excuse to give your boss if you want to leave early. You've got to go because your kid's developed a terrible cough. Either that or say your shed roof's been blown off. That is what people think in this neck of the woods. Same people who will go and, they'll be swearing blind that they demand a bigger share of the cake. They'd like to see, the redistribution of wealth. They'd like to see things improve in that regard, not understanding that this kind of pilfering and shrinkage and this kind of attitude guarantees that no self-respecting or even, right in the head capitalist, there to make money, organisation on a win-win basis is going to entrench itself in a place where the population is so corrupt as to where they do not understand the notion of personal property. It's that attitude. That attitude is what you're seeing play out in those people who are doing all that stealing over in LA and continuing to do so, and more people are seeing the tactic of it, understanding they cannot be stopped, and then, as they say in this song, going to town. This is another side of the pathology of the working class and the poor, that they always deny, but they always manifest when they go and vote. If you promise these people free stuff like that, they'll vote for you. And as long as they don't get the redistribution of wealth that they're promised, it's quite justified in their imaginations to go out and steal like this and sleep the sleep of the just and not think anything of it. There's a culture, certainly in my town, if you're a burglar, they hate you. If you're a pickpocket, they hate you. If you're an opportunist thief, they hate you. But if you bring home a van full of stuff you've pinched from work, you're a hero. And no one's got any problem with it. And then people complain their insurance is too high. They complain that the council tax is too high. They complain that their utility bills are too high. When at the same time, those they know who work for these organisations are filling their pockets every day. How about that? Who else has ever put that to you, that that's a thing? A great unspoken notion of what's mine is mine and what's yours is also mine. But I won't step on your toes because you'll likely come round to my house and beat the crap out of me and take your stuff back. But Rochdale Council won't. Woolworths PLC won't. Walmart, Asda, they won't either. They won't do anything about it. And then if you decide to be brave one day and report someone who's filling their pockets every day, well, the police will not ever protect you from those people taking their revenge on you, because the crime of grassing somebody for breaking the law is a higher crime than stealing from a corporation or private business. You're the one who's in the wrong. You're the one who's going to get people coming after you. The great unspoken culture of the unwashed. No need to thank me for letting you on it, because it's been going on since the dawn of time, but it's something that people choose not to see.